I got my coffee. We got wrenches. Let's do this!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, Ranting with Wrenches. So today we are going to talk about what is the top 4 mods for beginners. What do we recommend for beginners when they first get their first car and start modifying? So we're going to start with Rich. As always, he's going to tell us the 4 top mods that he would recommend for any beginner, any level, any car, what they should get. Rich?
So, top 4 mods that I've gone through, that friends have gone through, pretty much anybody who touches cars. First, top mods that they go off on right off the bat is exhaust, muffler, all the way up to catback. If you have a turbo, you would be looking for a turbo back exhaust, which will include downpipe, or in some cases a test pipe.
Yep.
I
know mine, I got an up pipe too.
Okay, so like
yeah.
Kids with Subaru, you got an up pipe, a catalytic delete, or even like a muffler delete in some cases.
Some of them do resonator delete.
Yeah, resonator delete, depending on what your car has. Will depend on how intricate your exhaust system gets. The next one would be a short air intake / cold air intake. Anybody who works on cars already knows the difference. If you haven't worked on cars, it's the first time you're doing it, short air intake is exactly what it is. It's short. It'll be sitting inside your engine bay. You see the filter and you see the pipe, and it connects directly to your MAF sensor or your air intake pipe. Whereas your full cold air intake will kind of sift through the engine bay and usually come down around, like, either behind one of your fenders, passenger driver side, or in some cases might come out right behind the grill, where the behind the radiator. The number 3 is short shifter. I think every stick shift car that I've had, I've thrown a short shifter on it. For some, you need to buy one specifically for your car. Others, like Hondas, I believe, like Corollas, a lot of JDM stuff, they're pretty universal. But yours was Cobb,
yeah.
And that one had to go a specific way, and it made a huge difference in the driving experience. Not all of your short throw shifters are going to make a huge difference, unless they're adjustable. Some of them are adjustable. Joe's was adjustable, but that's something. It's just something to kind of give you a nice increased drive feel with the car. And then wheels and tires. You know what I mean? If you buy a car, 9 times out of 10, the very first thing you're going to do before you touch anything else is upgrade or get new tires, because if you can't make it home, there's no point in putting power mods onto your car. And or wheels. You go on Craigslist, if people barely use that anymore but still do, Facebook Marketplace, some third-party selling apps like OfferUp, things like that, forums and groups. You can find wheels, throw them on, maybe $100 or $200 depending on how they look, and then you can mod the way they look by powder coating, plasti dip, which did I do a video on that, or did I just talk about it? I think I just talked about it.
Plasti dip,
yes.
Yeah, I think it was just talk about.
I think I just talked about it.
Yeah, at the end of one of the videos.
Yeah. I'll find it and I'll link it in the description if that's the case. But those are my top 4 mods. What about you?
Basically, I have the same thing, because is like in the last video we made, that was like the 3 categories I did, which is basically the same thing he said: intake, exhaust, wheels. What else?
Short shifter.
Short shifter. depending on what car you get, there are other easy mods that you can do. Each car is different. Same thing with him. The intake I have is what is it? It's not a short ram. It's the regular one.
You have the cold air.
Yeah, it goes right from the side of the engine down on the passenger fender, and you can also buy a heat shield. You know, you have turbo. They come with the heat shield, so it stays cold. Other mods you could do is, well, it's not simple, but you can mess with throttle body. You can mess with.
I mean that's actually pretty simple. Most throttle bodies are what, 3-4 bolts and the plug. You know what I mean? You take it off. The only thing you would have to keep in mind is if you take that off, it is a sealed portion. So you would need to replace your throttle body gasket.
Yeah. Another thing is you could do. Oh man, what was it? Not the throttle body.
Intake manifold?
No, a simple mod would be.
It's not really simple. Yeah.
Would be even deleting some wires. I think that's to a certain point. Like if you don't want AC.
I would not say that is a simple mod for beginners, because if you have never worked on a car before, the last thing you want to do is start jumping into playing with wires or your electrical system. Like I said, I had to go to school to be able to understand how to read diagrams fully and how to understand, okay, if I unplug this, is it or won't it affect this other system? You unplug the wrong thing, like let's say you go to unplug your AC system and you wind up unplugging like your thermostat, your cylinder head thermostat temp sensor.
Okay.
Now your car may go, like my car, Volkswagens, Audis, BMWs, German cars will go into what they call limp mode. And now you're just sitting there moving at maybe like 5 miles an hour because the computer sees a problem with your car. I mean, so that's not something that I would say is like an easy mod.
You're right.
To do.
I forgot all about that.
I would probably say an easy mod that you can do, that anybody can do, would be like cosmetic stuff, like going to Walmart, AutoZone. If there's any national autos left in the world, CarQuest, get like steering wheel covers.
Oh,
little
nuts.
lug nuts. You know what I mean? Swapping out your lug nuts for like the fancy ones. I've never been into that, but some guys do them. But adding additional accessories, like if your car don't got ashtrays, you could buy the little center console kit, screw it down into the body.
I don't know about ashtrays, but
cup holders. It's like it's like a unit. It's a cup holder and an ashtray and then
you
change holder, everything.
A 1980s car, maybe it doesn't have cup holders.
I had a 1980s car that didn't have cup holders.
All right, yeah. So, like he said, just look for simple stuff. Don't go big until you get the knowledge or somebody can show you and teach you how to do the more complicated stuff. So the next question that we are going to focus on is, what shouldn't you do with your first car? Listen, this is important. Some of these you should not do. If you are, let's say, some type of psycho, then do it. But you should not do it. It's recommended not to do it. Like start
unplugging stuff in your engine bay.
All right. Rich gonna start this off. He's gonna tell us what he think that you shouldn't do, and then I'll give you mine.
So this is my opinion. All right, this is not fact. This is just purely my opinion from what I've seen, what I have experienced. So, racing your car. All right, you get a brand new car from the dealership, from some guy down the block, from your cousin over in Nevada, whatever. Right? Don't start racing it 3 seconds into starting up the car. You don't know the car that well. You don't know how it's going to react. You don't know if there is or isn't anything wrong with it. So that would be my number one. My number two would be slamming your car. Joe would probably think different of this. A few people we know would probably think different of this. But slamming your car when you first get it, you know, because suspension mod isn't a difficult mod if you know what you're doing. But if you've never done anything before, can be. And depending on what you're getting. Yeah. So most guys will get coilovers or lowering springs. If you don't know or haven't gotten the right stuff and you slam your car and now you get in it and you go to drive your car away, and I touched on it, depending on comfort level, I went with electrical, adding a radio, which is, it can be a simple mod nowadays. Before they had the harnesses and before they had all of the
what, like the wiring kits?
Yeah, like the wiring kits. Yeah, the frames. They were a little bit tougher. But nowadays, you know, some simple directions and, you know, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of following directions to take the current radio out. It should be a relatively easy job. I did have one car, though, my Z24. The door chimes and the alarm system were all routed into the stock radio. So when I took it to the the place I had the aftermarket radio installed, they actually set up a bracket in the trunk and ran my radio into my trunk because I would have lost like my door alarm, the door chimes, the warnings, everything. It was all routed through the radio. So that's something, like I said, it's kind of a toss-up depending on what you got. Do your research. And I would probably say throwing performance parts on your car before verifying its reliability or its current state of drivability. You get a car, you go to buy it. Typically, a good rule of thumb is either take it to get a pre-purchase inspection. A lot of times $40-50. It may seem like a lot, but at the end of the day, would you rather spend an extra $40-50 and know that the car is okay that you're buying, or buy a car, you spend $4 or $5 grand, and now next thing you know, the motor crapped out on you halfway home? So verifying the reliability status of the car before you do any modding whatsoever. What about you? What do you see as things not to do with your car when you first get it as a beginner? Maybe some things that you've done.
All right, so the one thing that I'm gonna push on is, like he said, slamming your car. When I had my Honda, it was slammed. The worst drive I ever had, but the more fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun, but it's horrible. Swerving.
Don't worry about that. We got chipmunks.
Swerving, potholes, and you can't go over speed bumps. That's not even really speed bumps. Going on the highway. So the Civic I had D2 coilovers and
D2.
Yeah.
Wow. That should be a magazine.
In the back of them, I knew they were blown when I got them. I bought them off some guy, $100, whatever. The front was good, the back was blown. Still put them on regardless. Slammed it. The back was bouncing like no other. They just bounced. So I'm going on the highway, and you know the highway over here is trash.
The roads up here in northeastern PA are garbage. Absolute garbage.
It's like driving on hills every 5 seconds. So I go on that. I'm thinking I'm good. You know, pick up speed. Boom. The whole back lifts up, slams to the ground. Ate it. But it was fun though. But I did the same. Not listening. I did the same thing to my Subaru when I first got it. I was hyped. I got wheels. I got the suspension, tin. I put them on, or I had somebody put them on for me, and I slammed it, thinking, oh, all right, this is going to be different. Whatever, the spring rate might be higher, more stiffer. That wasn't the case. Going out of the lot, scraping on gravel. Trying to pull out, the floor is not leveled, scraped again. Going to get Chinese food, scraped again, even worse. So do not slam.
Oh yeah, where the Chinese food places is bad.
Straight hill like this. So don't
now, mind
slam.
you, when I got the Jetta, it was on Loring Springs, blue Koenigs, and it was about an inch drop in the front and an inch and a half drop in the back. It looked good. It looked really good. Now you see my driveway.
Yeah, it's steep.
It wasn't bad. It's very steep and it curves as it goes up. But I was able to catch the angle and take it up nice and easy. And coming down was a little bit trickier because you had to kind of widen out a little bit. But seeing as I had a mailbox where my turn had to start, I kind of had to drop underneath my mailbox. But I made it work. But wound up getting hurt, had surgery, yada yada yada. Had to use emergency money, and so I had to start doing deliveries to kind of recoup some of the extra money on top of working my regular job. So I wound up having to drive on this godforsaken back road, just potholes and divots, and like the kind where like you don't even see it until your wheel drops inside of it, and all I heard is bang. And I'm like, oh, the kind that just hurts your soul. You just want to pull over and cry. And then the whole rest of the week, my car is kind of like this. So this side is up, this side is completely just blown, but everything else is like higher. So every time I would hit a bump, you hear because that one shock was just cracked out. It was just done. It was leaking all over the place.
I had that happen. Another thing I would like to touch base on is the last one he said with drivability and putting on parts that you do not research right.
Verifying the reliability.
Yeah. Same thing he said, research them, because certain cars you do need to get tuned when you put performance parts on. They will not drive right. And like my last video, I said I follow groups in Facebook, and that's like the first question you see every single day in the Subaru page. What tunes do I need? Does this need to be tuned for? Does exhaust need to be tuned? Intake need to be tuned? Manifold need to be tuned? All that is just knowing what you're going to put on, but also just looking up and making sure you're doing it right. But like for instance, my Subaru, everything you put on needs to be tuned, no matter what. They don't care if it's a 5.8 sticker. It needs to be tuned. You know what I mean? It needs to be tuned. Now, I think Volkswagen is a little different from us, and I know Honda is way different from us. You don't need a tune for everything.
Volkswagen, yeah. I mean, that's intake wise, exhaust wise. Some accessories around the turbo. If you get like a turbo version, no, you don't need a tune to get something noticeable, to get a noticeable change. But if you want a performance change, that's where the tune comes into play. Also, if any of you out there have modded or touched a Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, once you change something, the infamous check engine light likes to come on, and that thing, and without a tune, a file, that thing is going to stay on. So that's another thing. But like Joe was saying with the Subi, certain cars you can throw on whatever you want.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to get a tune right away, it's going to run like trash. So to me, that's a downside because you got to spend what between the tune and parts, possibly $1,500 right off the bat for some simple mods and a tune just to be able to drive your car. You know what I mean? Normal. You know what I mean? Was it? So if you upgrade your intake manifold, you got to tune it.
Yeah.
If I upgrade my intake manifold, I'm good. I don't got to tune it. I'll notice the increased pickup. I'll notice the increased throttle response and everything without a tune. Now, if I want to maximize that product, then I go get a tune, and then it'll take me from here maybe to here or here, depending on which tuner I go with or what I have built around it. Because right now, the tune that I'm looking at getting once I'm done getting what I need to rebuild the turbo area, that's 230. It's going to put me at 235, I believe, at the crank. So I'll be looking at about 215 to the wheels. And that's just with stock parts outside of my exhaust. So exhaust, short ram intake, upgraded diverter valve is basically all you need. They recommend an upgraded intercooler, but it's not necessary. You know what I mean? And they don't even mention side or front. Just upgrade the intercooler to get a little bit more dense air.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, but that shows you the difference in, you know, true flat out tuner car and something that is, you know, it's a little bit more plug and play, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus your car.
Like the Hondas. Everything in the Honda's plug and play.
Yeah, everything in Honda's plug and play. It's a grown man's Lego.
It is. Alright, so this is going to be the end of this video. Please share it, like, subscribe, leave
Ring
some comments,
the bell so you know when we come in the back.
and just look out for our next video. Let us know. Leave feedback. If you got something you want to know, we'll look it up for you. Anything else, Rich?
I ain't gonna look it up. He'll look it up.
Alright, I'll look it up. Well, as always,
Wrench Daily.